We all have those defining moments in our lives, the moments that have the capacity to change the trajectory of our lives. What's the first defining moment that comes to mind for you? I could remember my first defining moment. I was 6 years old, and I could still see myself in my green and burgundy plaid jumper and my Mary Jane shoes. And as I was walking across the playground, I was so nervous about whether I should speak up and say something. But I finally mustered up the courage, and when I got up to her, I blurted out, "My friend said you and Sister Josephine are a bunch of dogs." Well, I immediately knew that was a mistake. She stood up, finger pointed in the air, and said, "To the principal's office." My friend got in a lot of trouble that day, and her father wasn't pleased. He later said to my mother, "Your daughter needs to wear a muzzle." I made that mean it's not safe to speak up. Fast forward, 7th grade, chorus. I'm sitting on the bottom riser, and I could feel the girls behind me kneeing me in my back and punching me in the head. And I kept turning around saying, "Stop it, cut it out." And then they would mock back, "Stop it, cut it out." Well, I finally got the courage to get up and walk over to Mrs. Schoenberger, who was playing the keys on the piano, and I go over to her. I bang my hand on the piano and I say, "I can't take it anymore." Silence filled the auditorium, followed by whispers that crescendoed into laughter and pointing. I was so embarrassed, I ran out of the auditorium. And I made that mean it's not safe to be seen or to speak up. But part of me loved to be seen and heard, and acting became my outlet. I loved to be anybody but myself, and I loved acting so much, I made that a big part of my life. And when I was in my early 20s, I made the decision following a 5-year breakup. Now is the time to move across the country and finally pursue my dream of acting. I gave myself all of 1 year while I was out there before deciding that I didn't have what it took and that I would never make it because I just wasn't good enough. I found my way on a plane back home to New Jersey, where I settled into living others' dream of me being an elementary school teacher. But I felt like a square peg in a round hole, and I did it going through the motions for 15 years. 2 defining moments happened a couple of years before the end of my teaching career. I ran into a coworker in the parking lot of a coffee shop, and I was complaining yet again. And he said to me, "Nikki, why don't you just bloom where you're planted?" And at the time, I didn't know what that meant, but I knew it was important. So I put it on the back burner. A couple of months later, I meet who I thought was the man of my dreams. I met him on Plenty of Fish. Turns out, he wasn't the man of my dreams, but he was a very important reason and a very short season. I was telling him about all the things I still had inside of me that I wanted to do. And he said to me, "Nikki, you don't wait for opportunity to come to you. You pave the way." And with that, bloom where you're planted came back up to the surface, and Mindful Matters was born. Initially, it was a mindfulness program for kids because that was who my audience was. I taught them coping skills to deal with their thoughts and manage their emotions. And when I couldn't take the program any further in the school system, this time I decided to think bigger. And that's when I noticed an opportunity to move in a different direction. I had an early midlife crisis at the age of 40, and that's when I made one of the biggest decisions of my life, and that was to resign from my teaching job and to build this coaching practice. For years, I regretted wasting so much time, but then I realized life had been preparing me for a new role that was just the right fit. It's not the defining moments that change the trajectory of our lives. It's the meaning we give them. For years, I made meanings to defining moments and ended up scripting a life where I stayed silent, I played small, and I doubted my abilities. I walked away from my dream of acting because I didn't believe in myself, and I settled into a role that others wrote for me. But the truth is, we are not just the actors in our own stories. We are the writers, the directors, and the producers. And the best part, at any moment, we can rewrite the script. And that's exactly what I did. I learned how to trust my voice, how to take up space, and to believe that I had what it takes. Today, I help other high-achieving professionals and business owners do the same. Break free from self-doubt, stop the overthinking, and take back creative control of their lives. Because when you change the script, you don't just change the scene, you change the entire story. And this time, you get to play the lead role you actually want. Hi, I'm Nikki Ganjami, owner of Mindful Matters LLC, and I like to say that when you want something new, it starts in you, and shift can happen as quickly as 1, 2, brand new.